doing it right. Everybody will be dancing and we're feeling it right. Everybody will be dancing and be doing it right. Everybody will be dancing and we're feeling alright. Everybody will be dancing tonight, doing it right. Everybody will be dancing.
Ooh, welcome back to Geek Therapy Radio. I am Johnny Hemberger, your mental curator, your high priest of geek. Once again, ushering you into the utopia that is nerding out, that is geeking out. Let's just savor being a geek. So, one thing I was going to mention quickly about the last segment, some bit of advice. The most important, probably the most important advice I could give anybody listening who's thinking about getting into drones, which again is super fun, super rewarding, super expensive, which leads me to my first point, the best piece of advice. Do not go out and buy a $1,000 drone as your first drone. You will crash it. I've had experience flying RC aircraft myself. I've not flown a plane yet, but RC helicopters, which an RC helicopter is almost impossible to fly as a beginner. A drone is no-brainer. A drone is a misleading amount of ease. But a single rotor helicopter, RC helicopters, take true skill. True skill. It's not one of those things that it's easy to get into, tough to master. Easy to learn, tough to master. No. It is just 1,000% almost impossible the whole way. So anyways, if you're thinking about getting into drones, getting into flying quadcopters, do not buy a $1,000 quadcopter as your first quopter, because you're going to crash it. I crashed mine. So the best way I'd advise to get into it is next time you're at Kroger or the grocery store or wherever and you see that they're selling those drones for $20, get one of those first. Spend under $50, spend under $100 on your first quadcopter. Spend $20. When you're in the checkout line, you see that little thing, that little drone for $20, $30, get it. Do that first. For one thing, those cheap drones do not have any sort of built-in stabilization. Well, they do and they don't. They don't have GPS locking on it. They don't have GPS on it. So if you take your thumbs off the sticks, the drone is going to drift or go up or down, whatever. You need to be given a constant input, even just to hover. But it's super easy and you learn very fast. In fact, one of the best ways to learn how to control a drone, control a quadcopter, is just get one of those cheap ones and practice hovering in place. The GPS on expensive drones keeps you locked in place, and they have an altitude sensor and cameras to keep you locked, let's say 7 feet in the air, and it doesn't vary, maybe an inch. It doesn't move from its GPS lock location. The cheap ones don't have all that GPS locking or the cameras that see how, or altimeters in it to lock you in place. So the best way to learn is just to get one and practice hovering in place. Practice keeping the drone in one relative position, because that's going to teach you the most important thing, which is that to fly a drone requires very minimal input on the sticks. We're so used to playing video games where you mash the stick left or right or whatever to get something to happen on the screen. That's not the case with drones. Very delicate inputs, especially with those cheap drones. Very delicate inputs is all you need to move the drone. If you smash the stick left or right, you're going into a wall. You run out of control. That's the other thing. Another thing is if you're crashing, let go of the sticks. Like if your drone's going down, don't be trying to manipulate it and whatever. I mean, do your best to clear it away from people. But you mashing the sticks left and right is just going to make things worse. So once your drone goes down, just let it go. Just let it go. Take your hands off the controls. Let it go. It's dangerous to keep manipulating it, and you're going to do way more damage doing that. Not just to you, but to property and people. So, I didn't want to talk about drones at all this segment, but that's what I did, and I've got only a few seconds left in the segment. So, but it's good. It's good that I got onto these little tips about flying a drone and getting a drone. Once you have the proper airtime, the proper time put into flying a cheap drone with no GPS locking or anything like that, and you've crashed it, only then will you be able to move up confidently to an expensive drone, an actual like expensive DJI Phantom or something like that. But get the cheap one first. Learn with the cheap one first. If your kid is kicking and screaming and crying that they want to get a drone, first of all, below a certain age, no. Like $1,000 drone, and your kid absolutely not. Do not do that unless you just want to watch $1,000 get destroyed within hours, because that's what's going to happen. Get your kid a $20 grocery store drone first. Get yourself a $20 grocery store drone first. And the same can be said for lots of hobbies. People want to dive right in, especially in music. Let's say people want to record music. They want to record music at home and mix music. They think that if I just buy $5,000 worth of audio gear, then my stuff's going to sound good. Wrong. Your stuff's going to sound even worse, because of $5,000 worth of gear and microphones is just going to expose every nuance of how terrible you are. So learn on what you got first with any hobby. Learn on the cheap stuff first. Hone your skills with the cheap stuff, then move up. Don't think that just because you're buying something expensive, it's going to make you good. That's why people wrap their Lamborghinis and Ferraris around trees and kill people and destroy their vehicles, because they think, oh, I'm pretty good driving a Corolla. Now I have money. I'm going to buy a Ferrari. Dumb. Don't do that. More Geek Therapy Radio coming up. Final segment coming up. I'm going to talk about the Commodore 64. Old school 8-bit computing. Are you ready? Let's do it. I'm Johnny Hemberger. Go to all the social media, Geek Therapy Radio, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, geektherapyradio.com. Did I forget anything? Just go follow it. Go subscribe to the podcast and listen to them at your leisure. Remember at the beginning I said take me in the shower with you. Put your Bluetooth speaker on, your shower speaker. Listen to me. Don't forget your hair. Don't forget your armpits. Don't forget other stuff. We'll be right back. More Geek Therapy Radio coming up. Stick around.